Hey everyone, in this video we're gonna be breaking down the following typical themes for the King's Indian attack. How to outplay your opponent from a typical symmetrical pawn structure, and at the end of the video I'll teach you how to deal with Black's aggressive play on the king side. Just gonna be trying out another King's Indian attack. And okay, we see e6. Hopefully we can get into like the typical d3, e4, e5 kind of attack. That would be interesting to see. Because so far we have mainly played against opponents that like to grab the center. But it would be interesting to see how the game potentially could go when they are doing like, let's say, more of a normal setup. Like, you can actually put this into the Queen's Gambit declined family if you wanna remember it easier. Because if you start out like d4, d5, c4, e6, knight f6, this is like the Queen's Gambit decline. So you can think about it that way. I think that's also how you see it normally in the books. And we're just gonna be castling an idea is to go d3, push e4. See what my opponent has in mind. Okay, the bishop is kind of misplaced on d6 in this structure because idea is to push e4 and then e5 will be a problem going for the fork. So that's why the bishop normally belongs to e7 here. But okay, still bishop d6 is not like losing just yet. It's just, I would say, a bit of a positional mistake, which is actually pretty hard to understand if you don't have somebody explaining you the structure. But once you get the idea, it's like pretty obvious. White has this e4, e5 push, plus the bishop on d6. Let's be honest, it's not the most amazing bishop when the pawn is on g3, like against the fianchetto. This is also like pretty common in the London, if you're thinking about it with like reversed colors, when black is playing the King's Indian. But the difference is that in the London, this bishop is on f5. And then the bishop goes to e7 anyways. So just by understanding ideas in like one opening, you can easily put that in your general chess knowledge and come up with powerful ideas in various positions. So just gonna go knight e2, e4, doing the typical stuff. Would be interesting to see how my opponent is planning to deal with this threat of going for the fork. So knight c6. First of all, that's like covering e5 square, and I think if he combines it with takes and e5, I think that's sort of reasonable for him. That's like very decent reaction. Yeah, he goes for it. Kudos for my opponent. That was unexpectedly well played. I think the position is now obviously pretty balanced. Maybe very slightly better for me, but probably around equal. Bishop g4, just h3. Curious to see what he has in mind with this guy. If he takes, I'm happy to collect the bishop pair. If he goes to h5, then I don't know. The bishop feels a bit out of play. Maybe just like queen b3 or queen c2. I think queen is placed okay on c2. Even queen e1. Yeah, maybe just gonna go queen e1. Queen e1 might be a bit too aggressive. Like queen e1 with idea to go knight h4 and f4. I feel like that's a bit too aggressive here. I think we'll do queen c2. Play it a bit slower and maybe knight c4 next. Maybe start rook e1. Okay, so against that I'm thinking knight h4, simply going for the bishop pair, and in case of bishop h5 could do knight f5. Hit the other one. And if I get to take on g6, we'll have a slightly better position, which can definitely maneuver around for a long time without really having any risks. So that's gonna be like a pretty nice long-term positional advantage. And against knight h5, just gonna be cashing in the bishop, and taking this way is never really a good idea. And also in this position, it's vulnerable to a small tactical trick because we can win a pawn. But let's say we don't have that trick, it's still a bad idea because it's weakening the e5 pawn. That pawn now just became isolated, so he was definitely supposed to take this way. Taking free pawn, attacking the knight. So knight e7, I could go knight c4, try to activate maybe bishop g5 ideas. In case of rook b8, we can just go back, or even take another pawn and go queen e3. Okay, we see bishop c5 by my opponent. Just gonna play like bishop e3, take with a knight. Okay, opponent just going back. I think it was perhaps better try to go rook b8, rook takes b2, but still I can take, and I'm up a pawn. And against knight f6, just gonna be bringing more pieces into the action, activating the rook and hitting the enemy queen. Yeah, queen c8, I think you just go for the endgames generally. You know, I'm a huge promoter of exchanging pieces when you're up material. So we're not really up like a lot of material, but we have an extra pawn, which in endgame terms is actually quite a lot. And I think for the content, we're gonna go for the exchange sack because we're winning another pawn. So we have 2 pawns for the exchange, which is actually not bad at all. Plus my opponent's pieces are kind of passive. So for content purposes, I'm gonna be doing this. I don't know whether you guys find this kind of stuff entertaining or not, but I think it's definitely making the position a little bit more fun, because just grinding my opponent with the extra pawn was kind of boring, I think. So defending my knight, maybe playing like f4 next. Yeah, just supporting the knight. Everything is defended. Can he go g5? That would be like a pretty annoying move. But I think we have knight d7, which was also like a candidate on the previous one. So knight d7 is kind of forced to play. Okay, he has rook f7 as well. I thought he's forced to play rook e8. So against this move, I think there's knight d3, gf, knight takes. It's like knight d3, knight d5, bishop e4 win, I thought. Or at least wins back the exchange. So knight d3, I think it's the move. Hitting the knight and setting up a small trap with knight d5. Because then I think we've got this move. Yeah, hitting the rook. He can't move the rook as bishop d5, and also he has problems with the back ranker that he needs to watch out for. So we didn't really manage to like get the grind being down in material, but just winning back the piece. Obviously they always forget that the knight moved backwards. That's literally all the time in 1000 elo. You see that on a regular basis. Just gonna take and bring my king f3. Now with the extra piece is definitely an easily winning endgame, and just king f3, tagging the knight, knight e5, bishop e6, hitting the bishop, I mean hitting the knight. I don't know how to talk for some reason. And knight f6, yeah, just gonna activate my pieces, pushing the queenside pawns. Normally you're supposed to push the like passed pawn, but well, it doesn't really matter when you're up a free piece, obviously. Maybe do this. Yeah, knight d5 will sort of force a knight trade, although he has knight e8, but that allows bishop d7. So if we can trade, it's just insta win. Just don't take twice, because knight drops, king f4, keep it simple, don't allow any tricks, and easy win. Attacking the knight, knight's almost trapped. Take free pawn, king f5, against the check. Okay, I have actually more time than what I started with. That's pretty nice. So knight f6, just king f5, bringing king closer, knight e5, dominating his pieces and making room for the c pawn. And opponent finds the resign button, and we managed to get this one in. So we're getting the white pieces, and opponent blitzes out e5. I guess he trying to play the England gambit or some kind of style like that, but not really into it. Gonna play with d3. He's still like inviting me to take, but I'm gonna ignore the pawn just for educational purposes. Just gonna try to do the setup and get like a normal game. Opponent really forcing my hand here to take. Like again, we could take, and there's the pin. That's like so good, but I'm gonna still ignore it. Just try to get into like the typical stuff. Play knight e2, e4, and just try to play that structure, I guess. Yeah, just go e4, c3, knight c4. Not really worried about that too much. We can just like play around it. Could also like take, but I don't think I'll take. I think I'll just push the pawn. Try to get it all the way to a6 if allowed. If a5, maybe we can open it up with d4. Maybe c3, d4. Yeah, just a5. b5, a6 is like the critical intermezzo, because like b5, knight e3, he can play a6, and he's sort of securing the queen side. And okay, now just obviously gonna push. This move feels really annoying, and bishop c8. I think time to open it up with d4. Maybe we can make some use of that diagonal eventually, and always taking this way. Shouldn't be afraid of nonsense on the h file, even though perhaps pawn takes was interesting with play on the f file. But just, you know, generally taking this way is best. Haven't really thought about it too much. Could even do d5. Looks interesting, but I'm gonna take. Time the knight. Yeah, attacking g7 pawn. Could throw in e5, but then bishop takes. Rook e1. Maybe castles. Not sure. Probably queen d5. Just hitting the rook and sticking to normal play. Forcing rook b8, I guess, and maybe then ideas to push. Maybe like starting f4. Can't really start with this, which is a bit unfortunate, but I even like this idea. Just developing and creating knight takes on d6 ideas. I think I like it more. Maybe something bishop d6 even. And yeah, like bishop e5, I think we're in like full control. After like even takes or like takes, just winning a pawn, I guess. I think I want to do it this way. Just take with a knight. Feels like we're gaining a tempo this way because I'll have knight c6 ideas. Sort of forcing the issue now. In the e5, knight e5. Big threat. Queen takes on f7 also, even bigger threat. And against queen f6, well, I guess knight c6 just sort of wins pretty big. Take on d7. Which one do we go for? I guess just this and rook d1. Or e5 even. I mean both. Are definitely reasonable. Just do not get mated in one, but you can play rook d1, and as long as you have like a fianchettoed bishop, your king is generally gonna be very safe. When there's the fianchetto bishop, there is no mate. Just remember this rule. If they can somehow trade your fianchetto, you're in trouble, but not really the case here since the knight is blocking the bishop, and also the knight can't move away. I have a pretty funny trick to go queen e5, knight e5, and then rook d8 mate. So like queen e5, he'll be forced to do this, but queen e7, queen d8. I don't know, it looks promising for us. I'm just gonna do queen e5 for the content if they go there. Probably good move as well. Okay, opponent taking some time. Okay, we see bishop takes on a6. Wow. So he just took the pawn, but my guess is he missed rook captures. Now this is big threat. And also like when the knight moves, there's like mate, which is like pretty nice. Mating net that you want to keep an eye on. And this is mate because e7 square is covered and we managed to get this one in. Thanks a lot for making it this far into the video. And in case you're looking for more episodes from the same series, make sure to click one of the videos that will appear on the screen. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching and I'll see you around on the channel. Take care.